I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Benjamin Netanyahu is being installed as Israel's prime minister today, and to talk about that, Avi Lipkin from Israel is with us. Avi, it's good to see you again. Thanks for coming.
Great to be back. Always great to be on your show.
Thank you.
Since 1995.
Yes.
But you look a little different this time.
I do?
Yeah, I think you've had a hair-raising experience.
Oh, there you go again, talking about my hair. I don't know what to tell you. That chemotherapy has just sort of kinked it up, you know.
By the way, you're on my lips.
I am?
3 times a day.
Oh, good.
You're on my prayer list I got a list like 60 people I'm praying for every day that need healing or have been healed and keep them healed.
Uh-huh.
So I take it as a given that you're healed and that you will be healed forever.
Amen.
Yeah.
Especially just to the rapture. That's all I need. I want to get out of here alive.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Israel. Let's talk about Benjamin Netanyahu and his what he plans to do.
Well, as you know, February 10th of 2009, about 50, 60 days ago, we had elections in Israel. And it takes weeks, if not months, until the premier designate puts together a coalition. And Netanyahu did not have an easy time the last 50 days. And finally, today, March 31st, he has this coalition pretty much tied up. I think what did it was the entry of the Labor Party into his coalition. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you leave politics aside for a moment, Ehud Barak, who was prime minister, and Benjamin Netanyahu, who was prime minister,
yes,
they were both officers, top officers in the Israeli army. And many people in Israel say that they are the opposite bookends.
Really?
In other words, they have the same character. One is on the right, one's on the left.
Uh-huh.
But I think personally they get along very well. I almost never can remember any real personal attacks, one on the other. And so I think Labor and Likud will be able to work together. You have other parties that have signed on, including Shas and Israel Beitenu, and that gives him the 61 he needs out of 120 to form a coalition. I think the coalition may be expanded also. Netanyahu will need every political party possible with him. I think they have 30 ministers, cabinet portfolios. So that's a record in Israel.
Oh,
yeah.
How about that? Well, what's going to happen with Iran?
Well, in my opinion, I think that this may sound as a shock to your viewers. I think that President Obama will be leading a coalition, a world coalition. He will have the United Nations with him. He'll have the Europeans. He'll have the Sunni Muslims. Don't forget, Iran is Shiite.
Uh-huh.
And the Shiites are actually a bigger threat to the Sunni leadership in Saudi Arabia than they are to the Jews or the Christians. And I do believe there are 3 reasons that the Saudis feel very threatened by the Shiites. They want America to do the battle for them. Uh-huh. By the way, 1991 Persian Gulf War, Desert Storm, 2003 invasion of Iraq. None of that could have been done without a green light from the Saudis.
Uh-huh.
And so we're talking about world economic stability, world economic recovery. You cannot have any of that until the Iranian question is addressed. You have a rogue regime. You have a terrorist regime. Obama, I believe, will do it. What would have gotten George W. Bush impeached? Obama will be the Messiah.
Really?
After it's all said and done.
Well, the president has said to Iran, Happy New Year.
Right.
And we are family, so to speak.
Right.
On that day, you meet with your families and so on and so on. How can he turn around now and make war against them?
Well, that's very simple. It's called deception. You have, by the way, Obama said during the campaign, if you remember, he said, George W. Bush made a mistake by attacking Iraq in 2003.
Yes.
If I had been president, I would not have attacked Iraq. I would have attacked Iran.
Really?
Yeah, he said it.
Wow.
Iran was the terrorist state that should have been attacked. Now, let's go back a moment. When President Obama says, we're family, let's talk, let's be together, blah, blah, blah. He knows that the Iranians are going to broadcast it. So, and the Iranian people will see him and hear him.
Uh-huh.
That's planting the seed for what's going to happen later. In other words, President Obama said, we need to have dialogue. George W. Bush didn't know how to do dialogue. So there will be dialogue for about 2 weeks.
Oh.
2 months.
So when do you think this war is going to happen?
Well, after dialogue fails, Obama said we'll have sanctions. Now, the Europeans have had sanctions for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
So you'll have 2 weeks of sanctions. I'm joking about 2 weeks. It could be 2 months, or whatever. Yeah. I think that by the end of August, we will see a final showdown, military showdown. He will stop the nuclear project in Iran because the government will be replaced by the United Nations. This will be a one-world government takeover of Iran. So what you'll have is you'll have a democratic administration in Iraq, a democratic administration in Iran under the UN, and Afghanistan is under the United Nations already. And this is a step-by-step war against rogue governments, Saddam Hussein, Taliban, and the Shiite leadership in Iran.
Okay, why would President Obama want to get rid of the Shiites?
The Shiites have been threatening the Saudis with beheading. In other words, the Saudi leadership is considered corrupt for 3 reasons. Number one, they go off to gambling, prostitution, and drinking in Europe, and then they come back and pretend to be holy. And these are the guardians of Mecca and Medina. Secondly, they're guilty of bringing in Hindus and Christians, servants. You have 2 million people in the kingdom who are pagans and infidels. This is defiling and contaminating the holy land of Islam, Saudi Arabia. The third reason is that the Saudis are guilty of the ultimate crime, the most heinous crime of collaboration with the Christian West. And the way to destroy the Christian West is to destroy the economy. The way to destroy the economy is to deny the West oil. The Saudis want to use the oil as a weapon to buy out the West, not to destroy it. Mm-hmm. So the Shiites are working at cross purposes with the Saudis.
Well, so you think there will be a war by summer?
By summer, because this has to be finished before the winter sets in Europe. Don't forget, the Russians froze the supply of gas and oil last winter, and people froze to death in their homes in Europe because the Russians had a grievance with the Ukrainians. So Europeans don't want that again.
And where does Israel stand in all of this?
Well, in my personal opinion, Israel could theoretically be part of the attack. I think Israel will be told to stay out of it, just like in Desert Storm and in the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The Israelis will be told to stay out in order not to undo the Sunni Christian alliance against the Shiites. But then when it's all said and done, Obama will come hard against Israel. And he'll say to Israel, you owe me. And give us Jerusalem, give us Judea and Samaria. And that's why it's important that Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Ehud Barak are working together. We have to have as broad a possible coalition in Israel to fend off the attack from the Obama administration.
Now, the president leaves today for his meeting with the G20 in London, and from there he's going to go to Turkey. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I was informed just a day or two ago by my Christian friends who told me, and I believe this to be true, that President Obama has said to the Europeans on the eve of his trip to Turkey that the Europeans must accept the membership of Turkey into the European Union. And the crazy thing about that is that if the population today is 40 million Muslims in Europe versus 300 million Christians, with the entry of Turkey and the Muslim Turks of Russia that broke away, the 6 republics, you'll have overnight an Islamic majority in Europe. It'll be 310 million Muslims versus 300 million Christians. Goodbye, Europe. Goodbye, Christian Europe. And for Israel, and for me as a Jew, this is a catastrophe strategically for Israel, that Europe should fall to Islam.
And our president is for that?
Yes, absolutely. And he's also for a Palestinian state, which would mean the destruction of the state of Israel as well.
Well, the world is moving into some precarious times. Keep your eyes on the Middle East. I'm J.R. Church. Thanks, Avi Lipkin, for being with us today.
Thank you.
We'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.